You guys have won 5 in a row. Is this a case of just stacking games, stacking wins, and then seeing where you end up at when the season's over?
Yeah, like I said earlier, we can't control what anybody else is doing, so we have to control what we're doing as best as possible. And everybody else keeps winning. That we're jockeying with, trying to get to that sixth spot. We have to keep winning too. And so, we're just finding a way. The first half wasn't pretty. It was a chess game going on because they didn't start Edie. And then every time we took Zoo out, they came in with him and Jaren Jackson or him and Huff. And they stayed big when we had our small lineup in. So I didn't want to tip my hand too early. So in the first half, I said, well, I'll just fill it out and keep seeing how they're attacking us with their two bigs. And then we just made a minor adjustment in the second half. We started Bogey instead of KD to stretch them out a little bit more because Jaren Jackson was guarding KD, and he was just staying in and clogging up the paint. And that just seemed to open things up for us offensively.
Coach, with that lineup, with Bogey there, with the starting guys, got some real good success from that group. What did you guys see from them that made them so successful?
Well, you can't, if KD is struggling, I mean, he shot the ball well from three tonight. He was 3 for 7. But, when they put a big like Jaren Jackson in the middle and kind of sag off of him, tonight our thing was inside out, and inside being whether we were throwing it in the Zoo or just piercing the paint with penetration. And Zoo, they were making it tough on him tonight. They were coming, they were fronting him, they were doubling, they were coming right away. And then with Jaren Jackson, he was in the paint, so we weren't able to really get into the paint. And we forced the ball too much trying to get it in there in the first half. And I think we had 8 turnovers at halftime, and they scored 21 points off of those 8 turnovers. So at halftime, we just talked about that. That's the game right there. We had live ball turnovers, which allowed them to get out. We lost Luke Kennard a lot in the first half because of those live ball turnovers. And, so we took care of the ball better in the second half and got back and identified their shooters. And then they weren't able to, try to outwit us in terms of throwing the two bigs in the game. They had to stay smaller because once we got a lead, they had to start trying to catch up.
Brian, I think you touched on this a lot already, but having those 21 points off of turnovers, I'm sure that contributed to the defensive. That was just another shootout in the first half. It was a lot like Tuesday. What concerns do you have of just being able to establish, a defensive mindset early in the game, and how happy are you that there are quarters tonight, the third quarter, Tuesday night, the fourth quarter, where if you're like, hey, they're not scoring 20, the team is able to execute that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they had a sense of urgency. Once we got to half court, I should say, in the second half. But we talked about the turnovers. We had been, I would say, probably over the last 8 or 10 games, really been taking care of the ball. So it was kind of uncharacteristic for us as of late to be turning the ball over the way that we were. I think I can remember twice where we had 4-on-1s, and we ended up turning the ball over. There were a couple of times where there were loose balls. We kind of got them, and then they ended up with the ball. So it was some kind of weird turnovers, but they were able to lock in that third quarter. They held them to 16 points in that third quarter, and then as we started getting stops, you could see them starting to find the joy again of, and it started to energize us on the offensive end. And that stretch where I don't remember at what point I put Ben Simmons in the game for Zoo. He really got us going, kicking the head, to our shooters, an out of bounds. One was an out of bounds play, but just his heads up, head and eyes up, and hitting the first open man that he sees. As the guys get more used to playing with him, they'll start running out more on the break. Because they know that they're going to receive the ball. And so we're just trying to take advantage of that when he comes in the game because he's so versatile.
Bishaw, has it surprised you at all over these last couple of games of just how quickly things have come together for you guys with everybody healthy and how kind of seamlessly they've gelled together in such a short period of time?
It may seem seamless. It doesn't always seem seamless to us, but no. I think that we felt like we would be a team that the rest of the league wouldn't really think about. Because especially starting out the season, Kawhi, however many games he missed to start the season, and then we just never had a full roster of healthy players, and so we always felt internally like we know what we're capable of, and it was just a matter of having everybody available and the way that we're playing right now, everybody's sharing the ball, and we can throw a bunch of different combinations out there, and I think that teams aren't used to seeing us the way that we are right now, and so that's throwing them off a little bit because there's combinations on the floor that haven't been on the floor at all for us this season. So, I'm just happy that it is coming together, and I just want to keep building on it.
B. Shaw, so in the third quarter, you said with Ben Simmons, I kind of want you to talk about his versatility. He can play defense, he can rebound and facilitate. How important is that to be able to dominate a game without even having to really score a basket? Kind of talk about his impact in that aspect.
Yeah, there's certain players that have been in the league. I grew up kind of like a big brother to Jason Kidd in Oakland, and he was a player that always, I remember him from CYO to, all the way up, impacted every game that he played in without having to score a point. So Ben can affect the game defensively. He can affect, because he can guard 1 through 5. He has a high basketball IQ. And guys love to play with guys that love to pass the ball. Usually everybody, when you go to a workout, guys are working on shooting and they're working on moves. You don't see guys really working on passing. And so it almost energizes the rest of the guys when you have somebody who wants to pass the ball and doesn't care at all about shooting. They find openings, they cut harder, and they're more alert because they know at any time he can find them. And so, like I said, we're trying to jumpstart him being out there and having our guys get more and more familiar with him because there's still a lot more of him to be seen, and and so we're slowly kind of unpeeling that, and I think we still have a lot of juice in the fruit to figure out, and like I said, I'm happy that it's starting to come together as fast as it is in a time when we really need it to because the Warriors keep winning, Minnesota keeps winning. This was a team that was ahead of us, so. That helps us. We have the tiebreaker against them if it ever came down to that. So we just have to keep building. We got another big game coming up in 2 days, and so we have to get ready for that.